Yourself as being stuck here in Tallahassee once the relocation was denied?
I didn't. I mean, I had a really nice life here. I did not view myself as being stuck.
Sorry. She's hilarious. She doesn't half make me laugh. Hi guys. Hi my lovely YouTube family. It's Dawn here. I'm going to do a quick disclaimer. Dead quick. Let's get on it with it. My name's Dawn. You found Lounge Bar Crime. Everything that you hear in this video is from my own research. It's my opinion and it's for entertainment purposes only. Now, okay, I had a nice life here. Oh, I do laugh out loud when I hear stuff like that. But I want you to watch the end of what happens here.
Did you describe yourself in that filing as being stuck in Tallahassee?
I don't see it. You said it was highlighted, but there's nothing highlighted.
Okay. 176. My page.
I didn't highlight it for you. Okay.
Give me just a moment.
I see the word stuck. I found it.
Okay. So did you describe, at least in one occasion, being stuck in Tallahassee?
No, can I read the sentence?
Sure.
So it says, the husband has made it difficult for the wife with her colleagues at her current position due to his statements and actions, and the husband's intent is to relocate to a larger area at some point. So the wife is merely stuck in Tallahassee until the husband decides that the time is right for him to leave.
All right.
Meaning,
and had he accepted a job anywhere else by the time that he was murdered?
no, he hadn't yet been offered a job, but he was always looking.
Joking aside, did you see what Wendy did there? We all know that Wendi Adelson deflects. She changes the narrative. She goes in a different direction. She'll spin it. She tried to do it a few times with Krista Coast, where she'd spin it and ask him the question, and he'd throw it back at her. Georgia Kappelman actually let her do that. Now, before anybody says it, I know Wendy's not on trial here. Okay. Let me tell you, it's not going to make any difference whether Wendy was on trial there or not. Wendy could have been on trial there, and I'm telling you now, that questioning would have been exactly the same. I mean it. There's not going to be any big difference with Georgia Kappelman questioning her. Now I know I've done a lot of this in the past where I have talked about the prosecution, and I am cheesed off with them and cheesed off with Jack Campbell. I'm cheesed off with it all. I don't actually know why there isn't even more of the prosecution on this case working on it. I know there's people in the background. Like one person that I don't think gets enough credit is he called Sanford, Detective Sanford. To me, he seems hungry on this case. He seems like he really wants it. Do you know? I'm going to say this. For a lot of reasons, I'm going to say this. I don't actually think, and I know she's going to be sat there, if she's going to be sat there laughing and whatever, I'm not bothered. I don't think Georgia Kappelman is up to questioning Wendi Adelson. I don't think she's up to par for it. Few reasons. I've said quite a few reasons in the past, but just going back there to, like, I have had comments, like I said, say, yeah, but you know, Dawn, she's Wendy's not on trial. It'll be different when she's on trial. Really, it wasn't different when Charlie Adelson was on trial. He was actually smirking at her, and his reasoning of this big extortion thing was absolutely laughable, but he was still smirking at Georgia Kappelman, and she could have actually made him look so ridiculous. I mean, the most passionate she got was that, and That was it. And I did tell you, honestly, at the start of that trial, I fell asleep. Something, I've been waiting years for, and I fell asleep. What does that tell you? And I'm going to show you quite a few examples here. I've said this quite a few times, and I'm sure some people just think, you can't just say that, but it's come from a lot of, like, my research, and it's all out there for you, and you all have seen it, and so is a lot of other YouTubers. But it's just where I'm just doing comparisons all the time, and I'm really interested in attorneys and how they handle cases. By the way, I'm not saying that I could do any better. I really couldn't. I'm just going to discuss something here, and it is kind of like par for the course, really. As you get older, well, you'll see me do it. You pause for thought a lot more. Me more than anyone, okay? I'm not saying, I do it because I'm 195 years old. So I do it. And a lot of people, as they get older, they do it. They're not as... when I was younger, I was like, bum, bum, bum. I was fast and off the beat. Like Sarah Dugan, she's fast and she's off the beat. And I know some of you are rolling your eyes now going, oh, she's going on about Sarah Dugan again. But listen, when you've got a case like this, 11 years, this has gone on for 11 years. When you've got a case that's gone on for 11 years, you need to be pulling it out of the bag. And I think when you look back again at that question in there, and she says, can I read the sentence underneath? And she reads out about, Dan was looking for another job there. She was quite happy there. It just totally lost. Then George Kappelman is going down Wendi Adelson's avenue of, and did Dan find a job? It wasn't about that. It was about being stuck in Tallahassee. What, she'd put it in the book. That was the point that she was, trying to get across. And it went, one, because she hadn't highlighted it. 11 years she's had to highlight this. And that's happened a few times, like I said a few minutes ago. 11 years, everything should be like boom, but it should be like clockwork after 11 years. And she said, oh, just a minute, going back. So by the time she's had to do that and gone back, it's lost. It's lost its strength. It's lost its impact. That's stuck in Tallahassee. People are sat there, the jury's sat there by this time, picking the nose, wondering, because it'd all gone. Let's just move on with them some more.
What is the Prof's blog? You were asked about that on Cross.
Yeah, it was a blog that Danny started with some of his colleagues to kind of promote community in the law professor world.
And who reads the Prof's?
Probably
Prof's blog?
other law professors and people interested in becoming law professors.
Who is on the Crim Prof listserv?
I don't know.
Were you on the listserv for that Prof's blog?
I may have been on the listserv at some point.
Do you remember seeing the post that you were shown on Cross?
I do.
Okay. And the post says something about Danny and I are planning to attend a conference that will begin Sunday, July 20th. Is there any other information on what you were shown about Dan's travel plans post-murder other than that?
I'm sorry, can you please repeat the question?
The post says, Danny and I guess it's another professor writing this thing. Danny and I are planning to attend a conference that will begin Sunday, July 20th. Is that the type of information that he would typically have on something like the Prof's blog or Facebook?
That sounds right.
Okay, but as far as the date he's leaving, the flight he's on, that kind of stuff, would that typically be on the Prof's blog?
He wouldn't put what flight number he was on, but he would almost always communicate when he was going on a trip.
Okay, so going to a conference that starts July 20th. might be an example.
Flying to New York tomorrow would be an example.
Okay. But
Not,
he didn't
not
put
a flight number.
But he didn't put flying to New York tomorrow on this occasion.
No.
This profs blog that I've just played for you, that Georgia Kappelman asks about. Now, again, you know, I think the questioning for this just went on a little bit too long, and she kind of like repeated her points in different ways to a degree. And then she gave her an example. That was the most stupid thing to do. If you know Wendi Adelson, and you're going to ask her, so it would say something like this: you should have done your own work to say, what do you think we should do? Do you think she'd turn that around? Yeah, 100% she'll turn that around. You might not guess how she'll do it. I wouldn't have guessed she would have done that and give a quick example, but that just gives you an idea that Georgia Kappelman knows how fast Wendy is. Wendy's, I don't like I've said before, I don't like to use the word smart with Wendi Adelson. She's quick. She's very quick. I'm going to sneeze just a minute. It's gone. She's very, very quick. She's quick off the cuff. You cannot give her room for anything, and she did. Now, again with that profs blog that we're talking about, I couldn't understand. This is another thing. When Luis Rivera was on the stand and she asked him about the profs blog, about the blog. Seriously, are you joking? What are you trying to do? Make him look so stupid? So straight away he said, yeah, the blonde was Wendy. He doesn't know about a blog. You're talking to Luis Rivera. He doesn't know about blogs. He doesn't even know they exist. I couldn't believe she'd put him on the spot like that, as though they hadn't had a conversation before about it. Now, I know that she can't fill him in on what to say or anything like that, but come on. You don't ask a gang member from Miami about a blog on the stand. I think Georgia Kappelman, she made him look stupid. And there's one thing about Luis Rivera, I've said it before, that guy's not stupid. If he'd have had the money spent on him in education that Charlie and Wendi Adelson had, he'd have left them standing, because he's not stupid at all. I mean, when you consider that Charlie got carried through his academic training, and I'm not quite sure what Wendy did for hers. Wendy is smart, as hard as it is for me to say it. She's very devious, she's very quick, and she's a lot quicker than Georgia Kappelman. Oops. I know I'm going to lose a lot of friends possibly saying that, but look, listen, we're here for the case of Dan Markel, and I've said it all along that Ruth, Phil and Shelley, they can't say the things that I can say because they're very vulnerable, so it's up to us. And I know that she always thanks Georgia Kappelman and everything, what choice has she got, who else is covering the case, but I don't actually think Georgia Kappelman is as fast as Wendy, and that doesn't mean to say that I'm saying that she's not a good attorney. I'm not saying that. She's got her place, and she's good. She is good. I'm going to show you something in a minute, actually, and this person is right about when I said this not long ago. Somebody kind of put me right on something, and that they're right. Let me explain this in a different way. Georgia Kappelman is a good attorney. I'm not saying that she's not. Okay, but she's laid back. She's not fast off the cuff, And because the person that she's got to question is a person such as Wendi Adelson, then it does need somebody like a Sarah Dugan, or somebody, or even, you know, somebody like, you remember Basquis, Johnny Depp's lawyer. Like, she was like passionate, she was fast, and she was on it. Sarah Dugan, I feel like Sarah Dugan is just waiting to be let off them reins. And if you let her off, and she wasn't like working for the state, she was working for like a private company like Basquis. I always get her name wrong as well as Wendy's. I know, let's not go there. Then, yeah, you'd see a difference. But the fact is, on this particular case, it needs somebody like that, and it needs somebody fast and furious, and that's what that Vasquez is, and that's what a Sarah Dugan is. That's what they like, and that's what a Wendi Adelson needs. It wouldn't be needed for Donna, although let me tell you something. You know, we know she's begging. You know, she was begging for bond and every excuse, you know, in the book and everything. But you know, for a 75-year-old, she did all right. You know, she did okay. Yeah, and Wendy's her daughter, can't you tell? But yeah, it needs somebody a lot faster. I'm just going to show you a few other things. This is why it's made me say things like this, and made me not come to this decision. I've been saying it for a couple of years. Oh, that's what I was going to show you. So yeah, I just want to show you what a comment that I got about when I was saying something like this. Yeah, it was a comment from Christine, and it's a rare comment. She said that she thinks that Georgia gives the best openings and closing and rebuttals that she's ever seen anywhere. I think Sarah is the best skills for... Sorry, I'm just got to put these on. I think Sarah is the best skills for deposing, prosecuting witnesses on the stand that I've ever seen. She's ruthless and intimidating without being abusive or disrespectful to the court. She's a perfect prosecutor, and Georgia is phenomenal with openings and closings. I don't disagree with that at all. I totally agree with that, Christine. You're right. Definitely agree with that. She is respectful, Sarah. She's fast, she's good, and she can be quite ruthless. But I'm going to show you something now on Sarah Dugan. I'm going to show you a couple of things. Just 1 minute. Can I just interrupt myself? Just 1 minute. If you just look down there, you'll see like little tidgy like button. If you can just smash that for me. Great stuff. And if it's not too much trouble, if you can just hit that subscribe. Go on then. Nice one.
And then now it becomes something that my mom said because someone made it up and put it in a court filing. My mom never said that.
Did your mom refer to the children as her sunshines?
No, the kids were 3 and 4. A 3 and 4-year-old can't repeat a conversation and remember words 6 hours later and repeat it accurately. I have a 5-year-old son. Never seen a 3 and 4-year-old do that. So it was made up, and now you're repeating it.
Okay.
I mean, there you can see like the questioning of Charlie and that bloody pen in her hand and ticking off. Now I know Sarah Dugan does that. A lot of attorneys do. Most attorneys do. But it just seems to take priority over it. That's all you can see. And you know why that's so noticeable, because there's not much else going on. So other than this tick and this, and it, okay. So she doesn't battle anything back with anything that he says, even though she gave the look there and everything to him. It doesn't matter, because, you know, not all the jury see that. It's just all they hear, and all that is typed in is Georgia Kappelman says, okay. There's no comeback on anything. Not enough, because I feel she's too busy for the next question. It's not, it should, I mean, yeah, she's got to get through all these things because she needs answers to these things. But it's also, it's almost as though once she's got the answer, then that's good enough, instead of battling back. So just to show you the difference with that. Actually, I'll show you too. That Basquez, what we was talking about, what I was talking about. Just let me go to her for 1 minute.
Incorrect again.
Ms. Heard, you told this jury that you had no idea the press was going to be at the courthouse when you got your TRO on May 27th, 2016. Do you remember that testimony?
I said I did not have anything to do with it. Yes.
No. My question again. You told this jury that you had no idea that the press was going to be outside after you got the ex-party TRO on May 27th, 2016. Do you remember that testimony?
I apologize. I must have misunderstood Ms. Vasquez. I actually had no idea whether they were going to be there or not. When I walked into the courtroom that day, it was completely quiet, still, empty. Even though I had given Johnny's team notice that I was filing the TRO,
Your Honor, this is not
we
responsive.
had no reason to
Move
believe
to
the
strike.
press knew.
And Your Honor, I would also ask that you instruct the witness to please stop talking once I lodge an objection.
Your Honor, she's trying to answer the question as best she can, and Ms. Vasquez is misrepresenting to her what she testified to.
Well, I'll strike the last part as non-responsive.
Thank you.
Just if you could just answer the questions asked. Okay, thank you, Ms. Heard.
In fact, you testified that you were, quote, shocked when you saw press when you were leaving the courthouse. Yes?
Yes.
You weren't shocked at all, though, were you?
Incorrect. It was
You knew the press
horrifying.
would be at the courthouse, right, Ms. Heard?
No.
Well, you did bring your publicist to the courthouse with you on May 27th, 2016, didn't you?
I sure did. I'm a public figure. I brought my publicist in case it blew up. In case. And
You
I'm
actually
glad
had
I did.
alerted TMZ that you would be filing a TRO against Mr. Depp that very day,
No, I did
didn't
not.
you?
No, I did
The
not.
one day you didn't bother to wear makeup to cover up the mark on your face.
I did not call TMZ or any other news source or paparazzi source. No one.
Well,
I
we
never
heard
did that.
testimony from former TMZ employee Morgan Tremaine yesterday, correct?
Did I hear his testimony?
Now you can see there. Now again, I know Wendi Adelson's not on trial. It doesn't matter. We all know. You're not going to see that in Georgia Kappelman. And just for somebody saying to me, because somebody else said to me, yeah, but you know, it's where she's from, the laid back. That's not true. That's not true. Because actually, if you just cast your mind back to the case of Mike Williams, similar case to this, with Denise Williams there, you look at the prosecution against her. I nearly just did a video on him because he was absolutely remarkable. He made every point hit home. So it doesn't matter that she's George Kappelman is only questioning like she has done so far with Wendy, because I'll just give you other examples of how she does it with Charlie as well. And I won't put it up there, but it was the same with Magbanua. On that note of Magbanua as well, now when she was brought back to Tallahassee to do this plea deal a couple of years ago, if you remember, I did a video. I was in really bad shape because I'd been to a 25-year celebration, Europe's biggest fancy dress celebration, for 5 days on a bender, but I constantly watching my phone to see what was going on with this case. And it said that Magbanua was coming back. Now, I did a video straight as I got back, and even under the effects of alcohol for 5 days on a bender, my first video, I said in it, This is what she's going to do. She's going to give crumbs. She's not going to give anything. And she didn't. I worked her out straight away. She didn't give anything, which is why Sanford walked out of the room. And even then I thought to myself, what did Kappelman say to her? Did she not say to her, listen, if you don't put something on the table, you'll be going back with nothing? What kind of warning or reasoning did she do with her? Because the effect, whatever it was, had none. Because what did she give away? Yes, she said, yeah, she admitted that she went to Secredo and for Charlie, and Charlie said that was it. That was it. But she was still trying to make herself look good. She could have just spilt the lot. She could have spilt everything and we wouldn't have all this now. But she didn't. And I wonder, because when you do a plea deal, somebody talks to you and says to you, listen, this is what we'll give you if you give us this. I mean, what? There's not enough, do you know what I mean? Push. It's like, yeah, we'll do this, and I don't know what was said. And if I remember rightly, all that proffer wasn't opened, was it? But listen, there was a reason why Sanford walked out the room. I nearly did myself, but like watching her on the stand, and yeah, Georgia Kappelman didn't even push her, and that was somebody on the stand. Georgia Kappelman didn't push her the first time she was on the stand. That's why I know that it's not going to be coming. We're not going to get any like that, like we've got there with Vasquez. We won't get any of that. And this is why they're going to have to be careful. Do you need the right person? Just let me play you. While I'm talking about this, I'm talking about Vasquez. Let me tell you why Sarah Dugan. And I think Sarah Dugan's held back a bit because of the situation she's in. Maybe her boss Jack Campbell, a colleague who she assists, Georgia Kappelman, or other people in the background, I don't know. But I just feel that somebody has not let her off the leash. But I think if they do, yeah, you'll see it. But just watch her here.
So you were working as a personal assistant, making that money, only set up the one appointment that you can think of, and you're having to check in with him. How's work? How's your love life? What's going on with you? You're not keeping up with his schedule either, are you?
Like I said, I didn't have his definitive schedule, what he does. He needs help and he needs to text me and needs me to do something. He'll text me and let me do something.
Well, you also said that you helped him with tenants of his properties.
Yes.
What did you do with the properties?
He had a couple properties at that time. I don't remember what location or where it is, but he had asked me to collect like the tenant's payment, the monthly payment. And like they had like washers and dryers there too, and like you'd have to open it up and like get like whatever coins are in there.
Okay, so you collected rent from these tenants?
Yes. Do you want me to look?
Just a moment.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you about a prior statement that you made. I just gave you a transcript of that particular day.
Yes, ma'am.
Looking at page 58,
Got it?
line 22 through 25.
Okay.
Okay. When you were asked in October of 2019, would you be responsible for collecting rent? You said initially he wanted me to try to collect rent, but those tenants were so difficult, so I just didn't do it. Isn't that true?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you didn't actually collect rent.
No, he wanted me to collect it. Well, obviously here it says that I didn't.
Right. And today, though, you're saying that you did.
I said he wanted to. He wanted me to collect. I don't even remember what I just said.
Right. I just asked you if you collected rent, and you said you did.
Well,
and that was a lie, wasn't it?
I just said I didn't in this testimony.
Okay. And if you said that you collected
rent from him today, and you previously said that you did not collect rent from his tenants. He wanted you to do it, but you never did it. That's a lie, right?
I should have told you to refresh my memory instead of saying that.
Okay, was that a yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So you can see the difference there with Sarah Dugan. You know for a fact, I mean, yeah, she's got a pen and a piece of paper. Of course she has. But are we watching that? Even if we was watching her and she had that pen, we wouldn't be, it wouldn't be taking priority of what's going on at that moment, which I feel it does with Judge Koppelman. But she doesn't let go. She keeps going back. So that's a lie, isn't it? Oh, you should have asked me to refresh my memory. So is that a yes? You said this on that day. You said that on this day. She's just made her look a complete fool. Now the thing is, Georgia Koppelman could do this very easily when the time comes. And again, I will just say again, I know she's not been on trial and she could do this. I don't care if it takes people like me going on to make Georgia Koppelman or anybody. She doesn't know me and she doesn't know this, but you don't know whether there's some woman from the UK going on about your love. I won't mind, but she doesn't know what day it is half the time. But you get my point. I don't care how she gets this message, but I just don't feel she's of that standard of Vasquez or Dugan, and that is what Wendy is going to need. This laid back is nothing to do with the fact of where she lives and where she comes from, and the fact that Wendy's not on trial, and because I've shown you, she's like that. That's the way she is, whether they're on trial or not. That's the way she does her questioning. I've also said it doesn't make her a bad attorney. I'm talking about the subject. Wendi Adelson needs somebody like one of them girls, and that's just a fact, I think. Just let me show you. Just let me give you another example here. One moment.
All right. How many lawyers did you have in your divorce?
I had one, and then Danny accused her of ethical violations and stealing money, and so I had to hire a new attorney. I think he had 3 or 4.
No, I was talking about you. So you had 2.
I had one, and then I had to get another, yes.
All right. And who paid for those 2 attorneys?
I did. It was June 20th, 2013. So I was still working at the law school through July 2014, so I stayed for 1 more year.
Okay. And it was subsequent to his death that you were able to find new employment that was in a less hostile work environment. Is that accurate?
I mean, eventually after his death, I found new employment. It took me a little while.
Okay. How long did you stay in Tallahassee after your husband was killed? Ex-husband, sorry.
Stayed a couple of days. And then after I had asked the police for protection at the funeral or in my home and they refused, I decided to just go for a couple of days and spend a few days away from Tallahassee. And then this case hit CNN and hit the media, and I didn't
I don't mean to
safe.
interrupt you, but the question was, how long did you stay in Tallahassee after your husband was killed?
I'm sorry, Ms. Kappelman. I stayed for a few days.
So you see what she does there with the attorney and everything. And I know she did put a stop to her, but not fast enough. And again, when she asked her about how soon she left Tallahassee, she said she stayed for a couple of days, and then she lets her do this full story on the police giving her protection and they'd refused it. She shouldn't have let her even start that. She should have said a couple of days. Was it not within 48 hours you left and you didn't return? And then when she said no, well, I answer the question, was it this or what? And like I said, even when she's on the stand, even when she's on trial, Georgia Copperman's not going to do that. She's not made of stuff like that, I don't think. Yeah, she needs to stop her doing that. And the answer is it not right that you know, you're left within 48 hours? Well, I asked, no, that is the question. Is that a yes or is it a no? You know for a fact Sarah Dugan is going to battle her, and Judge Copperman's not. Is there anybody still out there listening to me? I know you're fed up with me talking about the prosecution. And Jack Campbell, what's going on with him? Listen, I know quite a few people do send me messages and say, you know, oh, Dawn, do you know, like, at the start of this trial? Yeah, I do know. I know that Wendy worked for a judge, and I know he was saying, like, you know, all the Adelsons have been exonerated, they're all been looked at, and blah, blah, blah. I know all that. And something smelt right at the start. Yes. Yeah. So, what is it? What is it, Jack Campbell, that it takes 11 years? Yeah, it's weird. You know what I was thinking today again as well? You know, when we say about when they was using all this, well, we had to do the tapes and we had to do this, we had to do that. That stinks to me. Yeah, that stinks like a big rat to me. I don't believe that. And like I said before, you could have thrown that at a kid, and they would sort out the audio in no time. And it got me thinking. I'm talking about back in the day. So my son's 40. Sorry, just going off track here. Why I think the way I think sometimes, I suppose. This is why I'm going to explain this. So like my son's 40, and I remember this. I mean, computers. Not even everybody had a computer, and there were those big things, big PC desktop things, and we had like a couple of like odd parts and that in our garage, because we used to do trades and things like that. And I came in one day, and he had like a couple of them on the floor in the living room, all in pieces. Because at the time he didn't have a computer, and I said to him, like, what are you doing? And he said, I'm building a computer. And he was about, seriously, if I say he was 12, that's the most he was. I think he was actually younger than that, and I'm frightened to say now how old I really do think he was, because I'm sure that you won't believe me, but I'm sure he was around 10, to be fair. But if I say 12, I'm trying to think of the year. And he put all these, I don't know how he knew, but he built this computer so that he could use it. And he was a nipper. So all that, I mean, we're decades on now. All that, it took, we had to do this for the audio, and for the tape, and for this, that. All them years for that, that's a load of rubbish. I've never believed that, and I never will. You'll never ever throw that one at me and ask me to digest that, because I won't. It's rubbish. So, yeah, Jack Campbell, you know, what's going on? What's going on behind your closed doors? Why are you quite happy for this to carry on all this time? And I know that when I seen you talking that time, he was saying, you know, that there's other cases in between. So, and I've said again before, so what? So what? Everybody has cases in between. All companies and state attorneys and defence, they all have other cases. So why were those cases not put to one side for 5 years or something? So you got this one out of the way instead of this taking 11 years. Anyway, right, let's crack on.
From lots of things in my life, I'm aware of what's there, but I don't read the minutia so I can sleep at night.
Ms. Adelson, 5 minutes ago you said you don't look at any of that stuff.
I
Now
don't
I asked you a
look at
question.
it.
Let me finish.
Sure.
5 minutes ago you say you don't look at any of that stuff. Now I ask you a question, you say you look at stuff.
That's not actually what I said. I said I'm aware that it exists, but I don't read it. I don't listen to it.
Then how do you know that they're bashing you?
You just told me they are.
I did?
Yeah.
How about this? We'll come back to it. You can think up a better answer, okay?
I'm not thinking up an answer. I'm telling you the truth. I'm sorry if you don't want to listen to it.
So just as a quick reminder again, because I just want to remind you again of Wendy when she's right. So I've just said it. I know Wendy. Tell me what I'm saying wrong. Wendy. I don't know. You've got to understand I'm from the UK and I've got an accent. Doesn't help. But we're all one nation on here. Everybody say we all talk differently. We've all got accents. So I'm sorry. I know it seems to wind some people up. I'm sorry. It just is what it is. That's it. Anyway, what I want to show you is you remember Lacoste, DeCoste. We all do that, don't we? We get Lacoste and DeCoste mixed up. Right, DeCoste. He brought the worst out in Wendy, and you seen her face. That's when I got that horrible photograph of her. I went to make a cup of, put it on pause, went to make a cup of tea, come back, and that face was looking at me. I'll throw it up. Anyway, so he hit all the nerves, and that is what you need. See, I've been, like I said, look at the pausing I do. So I'm not slagging off Kaffelman. We all do it, especially like when you get older. You do it more, you pause for thought, and there's delays, and it's just normal. But DeCoste young, and he goes at her, and he goes at her, and he goes at her. And you see the reaction. And that is what you want. You want that jury to not like her because she was involved. She's a co-conspirator, and we all know. We all think we know. I think I know. She was involved. And we want the jury to see that she has got that side of her. Instead of sitting there saying, I gave him my phone, I gave him my laptop. Well, I mean, what more do you want from me? What a load of BS that is. So what you want is you need somebody that's going to press her buttons and bring this out in her.
My brother never threatened to put my children in foster care, and if he had, the visits would have stopped with him too.
You say you love your boys.
I do say I love my children.
Don't care about the father that they love. What
I
happened?
never said that I don't care about the father that they
Then
love.
look at some of the discovery and help figure it out.
Excuse me?
Did you invite Dan Markel's parents, the kids' grandparents?
I did.
You invited them?
I invited them, yes.
When was the last time they saw face-to-face their grandchildren?
April 20th,
Of this year?
just now.
And you agree with me that it had been years since 2016 since the last time they had seen them?
The visit stopped when they threatened to put my children in foster care, yes. But up until that point, they did have visits.
But you got no problem letting them see your brother Charles, right?
I'm sorry?
You have no problem letting them hang out with your brother Charles, who's now sitting in custody for first-degree murder.
Well, they can't see him now, can they?
No, they can't, but I'll ask the questions. For years, they weren't able to see their grandchildren despite their pleading to you to see them. But you let them, let me finish, but you let them hang out with your murdering brother, right?
The children were permitted to see their grandparents. I cooked for them. We had play dates. They had sleepovers. When a letter surfaced that they were trying to have my children placed in foster care, the visits stopped.
And this is what she will do if she gets a chance. But I can guarantee you she won't do this to Sarah Dugan. Oh, God, I can hear myself. And people going, oh, shut up about Sarah Dugan. I don't know if Kaffelman's ready for her. And like I said, quite a few times as well, it's happened on the stand where she said something's been highlighted. Or even she said to her, you know, that she said something else. And then when she's read the whole sentence, that's not exactly what she said. And that's not going to look good on the prosecution doing that. And the fact is, you don't need to do that because there's enough real tangible evidence. You know, we forgot she was at the crime scene, and all that. I know, again, I'm not forgot she's not on the stand yet, but this is sort of like giving us a taste here, and of George Kappelman's performance, and she doesn't need to do them things. She shouldn't need to highlight something and try to. I mean, I know it's her job, you know, like politicians really, you know, to wrap something up and make it look different, but she doesn't need to do that. That's the kind of thing that could make you lose a case, and this is the kind of case you can't afford to lose. So, like I said, she doesn't need to. She's got loads and loads of evidence. Right, listen, before we go, because I'm going to go now, I'm so sorry I've been going on again. I'm sorry. Right, I'm going to try and really do a real nice, a really good video. How can you do a good video when it's this subject? We're just all so passionate about it, aren't we? And I'm not going to look at my comments tonight. I will, but I know I'm going to get a lot of stick, and I'm sorry. It's not personal with Georgia Kappelman. It really isn't. It's just a case of who's the best man for the job, and because of what the job is, it really does need the best man on the case. And yeah, it doesn't mean that Georgia Kappelman isn't the best man for any other case. But like Christine said earlier, she's definitely good. When she does opening statements and closing statements and rebuttals, I'm full on listening to her. You know, I think she does them really, really well. And possibly better than Sarah Dugan, to be fair. But it's just that back and forth. I'm just sick of that. I'm sick of that pen and that thing. It's taking precedence over everything. And I just don't, it's not, it, I'd just rather it was Sarah Dugan in that thing, and they worked it as a team like that. They'd still be working as a team. Right, there's something else I want to ask you before I go. So I was thinking, if the detectives hadn't got a phone call and they hadn't been notified that Donna was going to go to Vietnam, would we still be waiting for Donna now? Just crossing my mind today when I was doing my cleaning. Because you do your cleaning dead fast, don't you, when you think about this case, you get dead annoyed. Yeah, and I just thought, so if, you know, we waited all these years and then all that with the bumping, all that rubbish. And then I thought, so then at the tip off, you know, she's going to go to Vietnam, she's going to go to the airport, or whatever. Would she still be out there? Yeah, let me know what you think. Or do you think they would have picked her up on something else? Because afterwards, anything else in them phone calls with Charlie? What do you think? Yeah. Anyway, let me think if there's anything I need to... Yeah, if it's your first time to the channel, honestly, my viewers will tell you that I'm not always like this, ranting and going on. I'm really nice most of the time, aren't I, everybody? I'll try and do a more upbeat one. I do have a laugh sometimes, don't I? But yeah, I'm sorry. It just is what it is, and you know I can't do the case without getting it all said. And I do feel that I picked up on this. I mean, right at the start, I always said that it was Wendy behind everything. I've put in my last couple of videos why I thought that. I said straight at the start as well with Magbanua, she was going to give crumbs. I wasn't wrong about that. I feel like I just, I feel like really in tune with this case, and so far I don't feel like I've been wrong. I mean, I don't know that I'm right about everything. Most things I know, but anyway, shut up, Dawn. Okay, listen, I'm going to go. I hope you've all had a good weekend, and yeah, I'll see you next week. All right, good night.